The chair recognizes the gentleman from California, Mr. McClintock, for 5 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, this October fiscal crisis is punctuated by three developments that are becoming increasingly obvious and disturbing. The first is the refusal of the Senate and the President to resolve their differences with the House through negotiation and compromise on the bill that would actually fund the government and end this shutdown. In recent days, senior administration officials have said they don't care how long the shutdown lasts because they're winning politically, and that the President would rather the nation default than negotiate with the House. Our form of government cannot operate in such a manner. Congress is a bicameral legislature. That means two houses that are specifically designed to have a different perspective on issues. The two houses of Congress were designed to disagree. The only way a bicameral legislature can possibly function is through each house exercising its own best judgment on a given issue and then coming together and meeting to isolate their differences and resolve them through negotiation and compromise. The conference process of Congress has evolved over centuries. It's very effective at resolving the differences between the two houses, but it takes two houses to operate it, and the Senate is refusing to do so. This malfunction is at the very heart of our stalemate. The second development is the deliberate decision by the administration to amplify the public's suffering and inconvenience during this stalemate. This government's gone through 18 shutdowns now in the past 37 years, but never has a president barricaded open-air venues like national memorials. In fact, he's gone so far as to forbid the use of turnouts on public roads that offer passers-by distant views of Mount Rushmore and Yosemite. He's ordered people out of their own homes and ordered businesses to close just because they lease land from the federal government. He's even tried to close the Atlantic Ocean to Florida fishermen. In the past, presidents have done everything they could to minimize the impacts of shutdowns. This president is going to ridiculous extremes to maximize the suffering that people must endure. One park ranger told a reporter, quote, "We've been told to make life as difficult for people as we can," end quote. And then he added, "It's disgusting." And when this House has passed stopgap measures to minimize these impacts, the President and the Senate have summarily rejected them. The third development is the rapid unraveling of Obamacare. As it is rolled out, millions of Americans have discovered that their health insurance rates have skyrocketed, or they are losing their health plans entirely, or that they're having their hours cut back at work. It's very clear that the public isn't buying these new government-brokered policies. 170,000 people visited the Maryland Exchange looking for affordable insurance since it opened more than a week ago, but only 326 have actually bought these plans, less than 2%. Now imagine you've got the biggest store in town. People are required by law to purchase your product. You open for business, and 99.8% of the customers who walk into your store walk out again without buying your product. Do you think you have a problem? We can't pretend this isn't happening. Millions of Americans right now are losing their health plans and not finding affordable replacements. This matter must be resolved, and it must be resolved now. This government only exists with the consent of the governed. When it deliberately goes out of its way to maximize the pain and suffering of the American people in this crisis, it jeopardizes that consent. This matter must be resolved, and it must be resolved now. And this government is simply not designed to function with one party refusing to talk to the other, with one House refusing to resolve the differences that divide it from the other. This simple failure is at the heart of our nation's distress, and it too must be resolved, and it must be resolved now. We're now 5 years into this administration. They have not been happy ones for our nation. But now we've arrived at a crisis, or more precisely at three crises. One that's costing millions of Americans the health plans they liked and were told they could keep. A second in the relationship of this government to the people. and a third in the basic function of our fundamental constitutions. Happily, the Constitution's framers gave us all of the tools that are necessary to resolve these crises, except for one, and that one is what Lincoln called the better angels of our nature. Only we can appeal to those angels, and we must do so before more harm befalls our country. I yield back.
The gentleman's time has expired.